Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And I've been getting a lot of requests on an individual dedicated video to the different sleds that Big Sprinkler has. So this is going to be video 1, and there'll be 4 of them. And I'm trying to time it to where I post them on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, so you'll have all 4 back to back to back. So don't make any decisions or anything like that until you've seen all 4 videos. Like I said, video 1 is on the jumbo sled. What drew me to these guys is the actual base, okay? The actual head itself, you know, Rainbird, Hunter, Orbit, whatever, you know, a lot of them are similar in a lot of ways. Some may have advantages over the other, but that's for a different video. But the Big Sprinkler company has actually chose to use the Rainbird heads. This is a 6504. It's a very large body head. It's a much bigger irrigation head. But the thing that drew me to the actual product was the sled itself, the base. And of course, the most impressive thing is it's made in the USA. Anytime we can support an American company that makes products in America, I'm all for that 100%. Now you can see I have added my own quick connect right here to make it easy for hooking up and unhooking the water hose. But typically this is where you would screw your water hose in. And then you can see on this side it has a cap that you can easily take off. You can connect a second water hose to it if you wanted to run, you know, 2 or 3 of these in a line. The sleds are incredibly durable, solid metal, and I've yet to be able to turn one over. And that was the whole thing that led me to them, was the stability of the sprinkler. And you got these sprinklers you have to jab in the ground, and what if your ground's hard and you know, it's a pain in the butt, and sometimes the sprinkler want to fall over and teeter-totter and, you know, that kind of thing. And before I put my irrigation system in, I've actually been out here watering with a sprinkler and not paying attention, and the sprinkler's over on its side because it's fell over, spraying straight up in the air. So the base on the jumbo sled eliminates that problem. Now I just want to make a quick note that the base on all of the Big Sprinkler sleds, whether it be the rotor, the impact, the wobble, the base is basically the same thing. It's going to be the top part that's going to vary just a little bit, but you'll find that out in the next 3 videos. So what will happen is you'll hook your water hose up, turn it on. This head is going to pop up like so, and it's going to rotate back and forth. Super cool feature right here, which is, you know, it's a common feature with most irrigation heads. You can adjust the pattern, meaning you can adjust how far right it goes and how far left it goes. I can also open it all the way up to where it would do a complete 360. So if I want to set it in the corner of the yard and do a 45-degree angle, like so, I can. If I want to set it against my road and do a 180-degree pattern where it goes from all the way left to all the way right, I can. Or if I want to set it in the middle of the yard and do a complete 360, I can. This particular one comes with a different color nozzles, and each different color nozzle has a different hole size. You can see right here the number 4 has a little teeny tiny hole, all the way up to a number 16, which has a much bigger hole. I've had folks ask me, what do I run on the test plot back here? Because this is the actual head that I use on my test plot. And of course, you know, I've been doing a 1 day a week watering on my tall fescue back here, and it has been working absolutely fabulous. This is non-irrigated area, which means I do not have an underground irrigation system. So I have to hook to a water hose and drag the water hose around with my jumbo sled and water it a section at a time. And I've chosen to do that 1 day a week. Instead of watering 2 to 3 days a week for 30 to 45 minutes a section, I'm actually watering 4 to 5 hours per section 1 day a week. This has given me a very good, nice, deep soaking And so far so good. We've been really hot and pretty dry here recently, and the test plot seems to be holding up pretty good with 1 day a week watering. So back there I have a well which produces about 28 gallons a minute and an 80 psi tank on it, and I am able to run a number 12, and you can see the hole size is pretty good on it. Sometimes I'll push it a little bit and bump it up to a number 14, but for the most part I'm running a number 12 on that. So today what I'm going to do is take and hook up to my house water, which is, you know, standard city water, pressure, volume, flow. Nothing special about it. Out here in my neighborhood, the water line runs right up under the yard out there, just like it would in the city, or if you're in a housing development that has community water. And this actually feeds off of the city, the town that we're close to. So, you know, it feeds all the houses in here. So it's a shared water volume, shared pressure, everything's shared. So obviously it's not as intense as my well back there. So that'll give a good idea of what most folks can use this for. Because, you know, I realize everybody doesn't have a well and a really good volume of water and pressure. So I want to show you how this would work on, you know, typical water pressure and volume. And you can see here, even in the thickest grass, it stands up. It's nice and sturdy. And I'm just going to use my Ellie hose reel right here. It's just standard garden hose. Now the water pressure here is pretty weak as far as my home water goes. So I'm actually going to start off with the black nozzle, and it's the smallest hole size available. But I'm going to show you how it inserts here. I'm going to use the blue one for the contrast of color so that you can see how it does. Basically, you just stick it in there, line it up, push it in. There's a set screw on the top right here that I like to screw all the way down, and you'll see it coming through right there. And all that does is hold the nozzle in place. I know some irrigation guys do this and some don't. I prefer to do it. And to get it out, I simply take the screwdriver and insert it right there in the side, and it pops right out. And let's put the black one in, because we're going to go live with this. Well, that's pretty much a flop right there in my book. You can see I'm not really getting a lot of action out of this one. Now, is the sprinkler at fault for this? Absolutely not. I just don't have the pressure or volume from my city water to actually push this sprinkler. So let's go hook the booster pump up to this and see what happens. This is a fairly inexpensive booster pump, and you're about to see how well it increases flow and pressure to my sprinkler. It's pretty simple. Plug it up, hook up your water hoses, inlet, outlet, and turn it on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it on, let it run for a few seconds, and then flip the booster pump on, and you should be able to see a drastic difference. That's a pretty big difference right there. And I realize it's going to be hard to see this on camera, but it's throwing at least double the length, if not a little bit further. So by looking at my pattern here, I'm getting pretty good coverage, meaning from the start of the irrigation head all the way out to the tip, I'm getting pretty good even coverage right through there. So for me and my city water pressure that goes into my home, if I were going to choose the jumbo sled for my option, I would have to have a booster pump with it, because it's not getting it without the booster pump. Even with the smallest nozzle size in the head, it's simply not enough volume of water, not enough pressure for this particular big sprinkler jumbo sled. But like I said, I've got the booster pump over there and it's pumping fine. This is still the smallest nozzle, and just based off my experience, no, I doubt I could go up to a higher nozzle and, you know, get any more out of the sprinkler. It's just probably not going to happen. Just don't have enough water supply or pressure from my city water, even with the booster pump, to change out the nozzle to a bigger size. Now let's unhook from that 125 foot of garden hose and just use a typical garden hose that's 50 feet and see what it'll do. And not a whole lot better. Let's turn on the booster pump. And I'm getting about the same results as I did with the longer garden hose, the 125 foot. So what this tells me is, unless I'm going to have a booster pump to help increase volume and pressure, this particular sprinkler is probably not the best one for me, as long as I'm running off my home water supply, which is a city type water supply. Now with that said, I've got some buddies that I've seen them run these particular jumbo sleds off of their city water supply, simply because their particular city where they live has incredible pressure and volume, and it can actually push this head. But for me, it's a no-go for me in my situation. So if you're wanting to know your gallons per minute, you simply want to time it and find that out. And I always like to do it from the end of the garden hose and not from the water spigot, simply because when the water travels through the hose, it's going to create some friction, and the number you get from the end of your hose where the sprinkler's at, from if you measure it right out of the spigot, is probably going to be a little bit different. So basically I'm going to start my timer as soon as I turn my water on. And when I fill up my 64 ounces right here, I'm going to stop it. So in 10 seconds, I got 64 ounces, which is a half a gallon. So in 20 seconds, I'd be able to get 1 gallon. There are 3 20 seconds in a minute. So that means I get 3 gallons per minute off my city water using a 50-foot garden hose, which is pretty sad. So I hope it shows you a little bit more in detail about the big sprinkler jumbo sled. And I think it's pretty obvious you need some pretty good water volume, flow, pressure to be able to make this thing work like it should. My little 3 gallons a minute here at the house really ain't going to do much for it. Unless I have the booster pump, then I could get away with it. And still, that's only using the smallest nozzle out of the whole lineup of nozzles. So this probably would not be my suggestion. If your water flow and volume kind of lines up with what I've showed you in this video, I would probably stay away from this and wait. And let me show you one of the other 3 options, because they're much more friendly when it comes to folks with lower volume, lower water pressure, and that kind of thing. If this is something you're interested in, I've got a coupon code that Big Sprinkler's giving me, and I can pass that discount along to you. I'll link that up in the description below, along with the little booster pump over there. And now if you're somebody that's got a lot of volume, like I have back here at my well, and you can really push large amounts of water, you may even want to jump up to the next size up on the booster pump. And I do have a coupon code for that particular booster pump, not the one I showed in this video. That comes from Amazon, but Big Sprinkler has a booster pump that will really push this thing big time. I mean, I'm throwing a good 60 feet out there and pumping water out like crazy. But again, I've got a very large volume of water to work with back there with my well, nowhere remotely close to what I've got up here at the house, so I'm able to get away with that. So be sure and like, subscribe, and share, and tell all your buddies. Again, I'm gonna try to post these videos on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, back to back to back to back. That way I'll have them all right there together, and you can check them out, and by the end of the week you'll maybe have made your mind up which one might work best for you. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch, and I'll check you later.